Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop. Today I decided to do something a little different than a project video that I've been doing. I am getting ready to get started on the lumber rack going here on this long wall over here to replace the smaller one. I have all my pieces cut out for it, which I've actually had sitting around for a long time, so I do plan on getting going on that really quickly. I'll probably start. I gotta get the bench and stuff cleared off and get it out of the way, so I'll probably do that after this. But I had the opportunity to talk to a guy recently on lumberjocks.com who is getting back into woodworking, and he had mentioned that one of his kids was really into it and getting into it with him, and that he really was kind of starting from scratch. I was ready to go to buy a Kreg Foreman machine to do pocket holes with, because I know I have a couple of big projects coming up where pocket holes will make things much easier, mostly the miter saw station. And I saw Jay Bates' review about the Foreman, and that if you were not left-handed, it made it really difficult to use when you were making some back and forth different cuts on the different sides of a panel. You had to hold it and kind of reach, just because of the way they have the button set up on that guy for the handle. So that threw me off from getting the Kreg Foreman right away, and I decided, well, I'm just going to get a new jig. I had the K4. It was fine. There was nothing wrong with it, but I didn't have the dust collection for it. I know you could add it, and it was just the new K5 system looked a lot better to me, as far as the handle being on the front, built-in dust collection, and the new ratchet system and everything. And I saw there wasn't a whole lot of reviews out there on the K5, so I thought, I'm just going to make one real quick and get it thrown up on YouTube for this week's video. And hopefully, you know, if somebody's out there looking to get one, this will sway them one way or the other. I don't care. Kreg doesn't pay me or anything like that. I had to buy this jig myself. If they want to send me something to look at, awesome. But this is definitely just me and my opinion on the K5 system in comparison to the K4. I can't do them side by side because I already shipped the K4 off to the guy on Lumberjocks, and just trying to kind of pay it forward, kind of a deal. Hopefully he'll get a lot of use out of it here. He's sent me some pictures that he has been using it, so that's awesome. But anyway, jump into it here, and I'll show you what I think of the K5 as opposed to the K4. Alright, so this is it. This is the K5 system. This is just the regular low end, I guess the cheapest option you can get to get the jig itself. I think it's $129 is what I got it for on Amazon. A couple of the biggest differences they did right off the bat was they added these extension wings that you can clip on there. It's kind of got like a little dovetail type connection there. Just kind of slips down in, and super handy to have them. That was one of my biggest gripes about the K4, is there is no material support off to the side. So you have to build something, which is great and all, but this definitely makes it much easier right out of the box. I just screwed this down to a piece of plywood. Got a couple of holes I drilled up in here so I can hang it up on the wall. It's up out of the way. I don't have to set it up every time. It just comes down on that piece of wood. It's ready to go. I'm super type A, so I wrote what's on which side here. The wings act as little storage compartments for the different parts of the jig, the stuff that comes with it. It includes, as usual from Kreg, one of the pocket hole actual drill bits and one square drive bit. I've got a couple of my extra ones in here from my old jig that I kept with me to use, so I didn't give those away. I get for the one that I sent off. This side, I'm storing the stop block measurement guide. Used to be on the K4 system. You had that groove back here where your drill bit would sit, and then it showed you lengths of where to set your stop collar. This one's kind of similar but completely different. You use your stop block here to get your material thickness off of, and then from that you slit your drill down into, and then depending on what you're going to drill out, this one's, I don't know what this one's set for right now. So it's set for 2.5, so I must have been doing some 2x4s with this last drill. So it's kind of neat. I'm not super impressed with it. I did notice that I think the hole ends up going a little bit too deep, so what I've done is set it to the hole that it needs to be at, and then I just back it off just a little bit to give myself a little more play on there, and it seemed to work really well. So I don't like it as much as the other system on the K4, but it is what it is. That's what they have for this system. One thing I did like that they send now is this little guy here, and you can see these holes here. If you're wanting to get your pocket holes in the exact same position every single time that you're cutting material, then you can put this little stop block in here, and it locks into place. And then when you're setting your pieces in here, if you're wanting your pocket holes to be the exact same spot every time, it's giving you a stop block so your material stops and you get it in there every time. So I've never done anything where that's been excuse me, super vital to me. Maybe if you were making something out of a nice hardwood or something, and this was the joinery method you decided to go to, maybe. I don't know that I'll ever use it, but it's nice to have, I guess. It's in there. The other thing they changed on this guy was the old K4 system had kind of etched, dug out, grooved out whatever numbers and markers on here for your depth set for your material thickness. This time, for whatever reason, they decided to print it on here. I think they probably got a lot of complaints from people that, oh, I can't read what's going on in there. It just blends in with the blue. So what I actually done with my K4 is took a white crayon and just scribbled on there real fast back and forth. The crayon heats up, falls down into the groove, and then you just wipe it off with a paper towel, and you get this exact same dimension or look. You can actually see your numbers then, but if it pops out, you can refill it. This is actually printed on here, which I'm already got concerns on how well that's going to last. I've only used it twice, and I can already see just a little bit of wear over here, which may or may not end up being a big deal in the end. I don't know. But it's similar to the K4. It drops in here. One other big difference they did, instead of a brass screw out here, set screw out here on the front, is it's now a spring-loaded little pin that holds your block in place. One thing I did notice the couple times I've used it, if you're not careful and make sure that thing's really seated in there, it will move on you. You can kind of see it has a tendency to not want to jump right in. You can see it's out there to get it to locked into place. So definitely something to keep in mind if you're going to use it, to make sure you get that pin really pushed into place and set where it needs to be. So I do like the push pin better than the screw. It's much easier and quicker to make adjustments and whatnot. Another big difference from the K4 is the built-in dust collection here. The one thing I do need to do is get online and find an adapter from a 1-inch to 2-inch for the shop vac. But the couple times I've used it, I've just had the kids come out here and help me out and hold the nozzle into place on that thing, and man, it's an awesome dust collection. It just leaves you no mess at all. It's fantastic. The other big change, and I think by far the best change, is the new clamp mechanism. You're no longer having to reach all the way into the back of your piece to clamp it against your material, which if you were using a big panel, it was kind of a pain to reach around, hold it in place, get it clamped down all at the same time. So they've moved the handle out here in front, which is cool. But not only that, but this new mechanism, there's no screw and bolt assembly system here to grab your material. So now you just put your material in here, make sure your level is down, or your lever is down forward in the locked position, push down on this light gray tab here, and you slide that all the way against your material. And then I don't know if the microphone will pick it up, feel it more than you can hear it, but you put some forward pressure against your piece here, and then raise your handles to the back, and you'll hear some clicks. 2 clicks. I don't know if the microphone's going to pick it up, but that sets your cam system here to grab it. And so every time you pull your material in and out, when you throw a new piece in there, it's just set. It's ready to go. There's no messing with it, trying to get it just right, tweaking it and whatnot, and then having it come loose while you're working on it. It's spot on every single time, as long as you're using the same thickness of material. Throw it in there. But then if you weren't, say for whatever reason you went to something a little bit thicker, again, light tab, push it back, put your new material in there with the new thickness, make sure your handle is down, push this guy up against here, hold it in place with some pressure, it clicks back, pull your stuff out, next piece of material, and you're off to races. It's good, it's locked in there, it's not going anywhere. I love that new system. I think that's huge time saver, very efficient, works awesome. So that is it really. Again, it's got these holes on here so you can mount it to a piece of plywood or whatever. I made mine a little bit oversized so that when I'm working on something, you saw how it was, it wanted to lift up there, so I like to usually clamp mine down to a soon-to-come workbench. Makes it a little more stout, easier to use, but just screwing it down onto this is pretty good for most applications, and then just a clamp or something in the corner and it works great. But so there it is. That's my review of the K5. I'll probably be putting it into action here, hopefully not too much longer, maybe a month and a half away, I'm guessing, from being ready to start on the miter station. First thing I've got to do is clean off these 2 benches off over here in the corner and whatnot, and then we will be able to get going on the lumber rack here. Those are all the supports there, those 2x4s stacked up, and then I've got my hinge pieces here cut out already. I've just got to put the angle on them, and then they will be set and ready to go to make new supports on the new lumber rack right there. So once I get that done, then I'll be able to get the cherry and alder that's stacked up there on top of my current loft, get that down off of there, and get the rest of the loft disassembled, taken apart, and then I got to do something with the lights and the wiring, and then I'll be ready to go and get the new loft built in here. And once that happens, time to start doing some projects. So I'm super excited. So if you haven't already, click subscribe down there and stick around. We'll see you the next time. Thanks.